Hi, everybody. I'm here with Rhianne Joyce, and we're talking recruiter enablement. So, Rhianne, thank you very much for joining me today. Give us a quick introduction to you, your background, and like what you do today.
Great, thank you. Yeah, no, really glad to have a chat with you today, Adam. So yeah, my name's Rhianne Joyce. I'm currently the Director of Talent Acquisition at a tech company called Diligent, based in London. Have been with Diligent for just over 5 years, and prior to that, was in recruitment for another 3 years. So about 8 years recruitment experience, span of control, currently responsible for our international talent acquisition team. So that is all of my team across APAC and EMEA. And prior to that was a global recruiter. So yeah, Diligent's been a good opportunity to get some real good global scope.
Yeah, sounds like it. And 5 years in one organization is, I mean, it's not very uncommon, but it's, obviously you've had some good development opportunities, which is excellent.
Yeah, I think I was actually quite surprised that I had been with Diligent for 5 years as well. When you look back and you kind of remember joining, which feels like yesterday. And so I think that the thing that's definitely kept me engaged is the role feeling very different consistently with every position. Diligent has had really, incredible growth over the last 5 years in terms of both organic and acquisition growth.
Yeah.
There's been a number of changes regionally as well. And so I think that's just really allowed me to be able to take on more and have a different spin on my role every kind of year and a half or so. That has kept me interested and on my
Yeah.
toes for sure.
Yeah, great. Time flies when you're having fun.
Absolutely.
Yes. So let's talk about recruiter enablement. You've got teams in different countries, and we've spoken to a few people with remote teams, and the necessity to give people good processes and give people the right information and
Mm.
make sure that nobody's at a disadvantage. Everybody's got as good an opportunity as each other to do a great job is something in that context, which I think is even more important. So like, tell us about recruiter enablement. What is it to you? What does it include? And yeah, it'd be great to find out.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I think you know having the right recruiter enablement tools and practices in place has been crucial to my role at Diligent, particularly because my teams have always been remote. So I'm based in the UK and I head up the function, but actually none of my team are actually based in the UK. So I have a team in
Yeah.
Ireland, in Bangalore, in Hungary, and have previously had a team in Sydney, etc. So ensuring that we actually have consistent, structured, and robust processes in place for each region has been really crucial.
Yeah.
Because I'm very rarely in a room with my team, and have never been all together. So when I think about recruiter enablement, I think the tools are very important in terms of how people can actually do their jobs. But I think really consistent and regular training is crucial to any kind of recruiter's span, because recruitment is a really tough industry. We all know that. And it can become, quite samey, in terms of, you know, I'm a firm believer that if you're a good recruiter, you can recruit any job, you can learn the
Yep.
skill set and you can learn the background, but ultimately the fundamentals are the same.
Yeah.
Um, and so for me, it's always been, how do we keep it fresh? How do we keep it exciting for a recruiter to feel challenged and feel that they're being pushed out of their comfort zone? So I think it's been for us regular, consistent training. And of course, hot topic of late, how do we leverage AI to increase, or deliver kind of best recruitment practices? And so I think leveraging AI is definitely a tool that we're all still learning about as well. I'm definitely not going to say I'm an expert in how we can leverage best practices in AI, but it's definitely changed how we train and how we learn, which I think has been
Mhm.
really interesting.
Mhm.
Um, and I've actually got a session with my team in a couple of weeks where we're just going to sit and kind of brainstorm around how can we leverage AI ultimately to make our lives easier, to automate, and to speed up what can often take us quite a long time. Particularly when you work in an internal team, our focus is not just about delivery, it's about manager effectiveness, and how can we make sure that not only we are making great hiring decisions, but that our business is making great hiring decisions. And so there's definitely a lot more that a recruiter would do when they work internally, right? From ensuring that they've got kind of training, programming, scorecards, interview guides, all of that real kind of good support for managers to be able to make great decisions. So yeah, that was kind of a little bit of where I was thinking when we think about recruiter enablement.
Well, there's a lot in that, and there's a lot that you're doing. So hiring managers being a perfect example, they need enabled for recruitment as well. So a couple of things I wanted to deep dive a little bit more were around tools and around training. So like, what are some of the tools that have been important for your team to like do their jobs really well? What have you put in place over the last couple of years?
Yeah, so I think firstly, an excellent applicant tracker system is key. I think we all know that, but you'd be really surprised at how many recruiters I've hired or I have come across in the past who say we still use Excel, and I just don't even know how they cope. I've never had to use Excel. I've been very fortunate that wherever I've been has always had a really solid ATS. But I think, in addition to having your ATS, it's actually about maximizing the use of your ATS when it comes to reporting statistics and really understanding your market, and not just using it as literally a place to track candidates, but actually using it as a place to set benchmarks, a place to set Boolean searching, a place to set AI pulling of specific language so that you can help automate things like your scorecards. So I think when I think about tools, having a great, I mean, we use Greenhouse and it's great. And within that though, I think it's, if we talk about hiring managers particularly, you know, we provide managers with an extensive amount of information within Greenhouse, so that you know, and that would be things like interview scorecards, interview probing questions, interview prep. Like, we'll literally put all of that into Greenhouse, and I think that is very helpful to managers when it comes to them running interviews, because we don't have a platform today that allows us to, you know, kind of record every session. I actually, we don't have this yet. I'm hoping that in the future we can invest in this, but I actually demoed Gong for recruiters the other day, I think last week, and I thought it was brilliant in terms of how they have embedded AI into the platform to help speed up the assessment of, you know, the recruiter to the manager, etc. So I don't know if you had demoed it, but or use it or have seen it, but I was really excited about something like that in the recruitment space, and was like, would really hope that we can leverage it or something like it in future. I thought, you know, that is going to be is a key tool that can help you train not only recruiters in improving their skills, but hiring managers and the business as well, and allows the business to receive direct reports about their own performance in that interview, which I thought was really cool.
Was that actually Gong? So it was Gong for recruitment?
Yes,
Right,
yes.
right. Okay. There's a
Really
few.
cool.
So Bright Hire, Squire, and MetaView. That's three which are dedicated to recruitment in this area, and they
Okay.
are, you know, similar types of take the transcription, put the information into the right place in the ATS, create summaries, allows you to create the hiring manager feedback messaging and
Yeah.
the candidate feedback messaging and doing all that sort of stuff. So I hadn't appreciated that Gong had, you know, made itself available to recruiters like that. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and they had also leveraged AI, but how they will leverage AI is then you ultimately train the system specific keywords and sentences that you are looking for. So you obviously put your competencies in, you put in what your ideal answers or buzzwords are, and then it actually, the AI actually can pick up how many times those buzzwords were used and whether the candidate had hit percentages of your scorecards, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. Oh, that is absolute prime recruiter enablement as far as I'm concerned, because it means
Yeah,
the recruiter can focus on the interview and not on taking notes. But you
exactly.
know, they could just get on with the interview. Okay. let's talk about training. You said that that's something that's been important in terms of enabling recruiters. Like, what's your sort of how do you do it?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in everybody owns their career and their own kind of personal development goals, and my job is to help them in that direction. And so I'm a big fan of, you know, when it comes from the personal training side, ensuring that everybody has got really clear kind of personal development plans based on what's really important to them, their current capabilities, where they want to go. And that would be the more personal side of a one-on-one type level training. I think to join any business, what is crucial is your first 90 days in the organization, and having a really robust onboarding plan is key to your success, key to your engagement, and ultimately the way that you will be kind of set up then on. And so I think for me, having an incredibly kind of robust and kind of rinse and repeat onboarding plan has been really important for me, because naturally I have a global team, and so things will change regionally, but in terms of what everybody does and at what point is relatively the same. And I like to keep that because it allows it just gives real kind of clarity. And then I think when we're talking about the tech industry, when you're talking about the actual more kind of recruitment training, I really leverage as much as possible when it comes to both online and non-online learning. So I think that the SaaS industry is ever evolving. It's moving incredibly quickly. And so we set particular downtimes for the team to actually spend some time just understanding the market. And that might be understanding your competitor space. It might be understanding things, even, you know, if you're thinking about going public, right? Okay, to the team, do they understand what that means? Do they understand what an organization would go through to get to that point? Who are the organizations that have gone through that similar changes? And so I think there's an element of, you know, you've got your personal learning, you've got your role learning, and then you've really got your industry learning as a separate prong. And that for me is hugely important, because you can't be an expert in the space until you really understand it. And that's really about, you know, yes, you know, there's all the online piece, but then it's about getting yourself out there, speaking to industry experts, attending events, being the face of the organization, where you're actually connecting and networking with people in the industry, so that you can really understand what the industry does, where it's going, and how Diligent plays an impact in that industry. So I kind of view those three as separate ways to train an individual in becoming an expert in their field.
Great. Rhianne, thank you very much for your time today. We've gone into a bit of detail on some really important topics. I really appreciate you joining me, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again sometime soon.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. It was great to meet you.